Next item is item 10D, consideration and adoption of a resolution approving agreement with Animal Care Hospital of Sterling Heights Incorporated for Animal Control Veterinary Services.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Sadowski.
Support.
Support by Green.
Discussion.
Discussion, Mr. Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When over the years, I've actually pushed for the animal control to utilize different venue rather than Macomb County services, because they didn't have as long a period where they kept the animal for people to claim it and stuff. And then when I read this initially, I was afraid. I thought we're going to have, and I got several emails about it too, where immediately destroy the animals, the cats that they pick up, any feral cats and stuff. But there will be an amendment, as you all see before you, the letter that talks about the spay, neuter, and return of the cats. And they're going to provide the service free through December 14th, and then I would assume that it's going to cost, what that cost is, I'm not sure what it's going to be after that. But it's not going to be putting the animals down immediately. It will be a spay, neuter, and return event for the cats. So I will be voting for this now.
Mr. President?
Ms. Clegio.
Number one, I don't think the rest of the council has that amendment before us. So maybe we can get a copy of that. I think it just came at an email. I don't have it before me, but if I could, through the chair, to the Deputy Police Commissioner, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Everybody was emailed.
I don't think I got it.
I didn't get the email.
Good evening, Honorable Council.
If Mr. Sadowski didn't get the email, none of us got the email. All right, I'm sorry, Mr. Glosso, you have the floor.
Yeah, if I could, good evening. Good evening, Deputy.
Good evening.
Do you have the amendment on you, or do you?
I do not have that language. No, I'm afraid not.
Okay, could you explain? I called you a couple days ago, and we had a pretty decent conversation, but could you explain? Okay, the last council meeting when we kind of discussed this a little bit, when it was brought before us, the topic of kill shelter or no kill shelter, none of that was really brought up. It was kind of the topic seemed to be cost. It was a cost type of topic. Now, the Macomb County Animal Shelter no longer is a kill shelter for cats. Is that correct?
That is correct. And Councilwoman, if you would...
Please, I'll let you. Why don't you go ahead and just give us your spiel. There you go.
If this Honorable Council would indulge me in their patience a little, some of the points I have to make may be redundant, and some might be blatantly obvious. But on January 14th, 2014, this governing body went ahead and approved a resolution that allowed and basically the agreement placed Warren into a coalition with 5 other communities within Macomb County, and that would be known as the Macomb Animal Control Coalition. The 5 communities would be what most would recognize as the inner ring and probably the most highly population density communities, being Warren, Sterling Heights, Roseville, East Point, and St. Clair Shores. The reason the coalition was found to be necessary is the fact that the Macomb County Animal Shelter in Mount Clemens put us on notice that they would be drastically increasing their fees and also entering into a questionable, if one may even want to describe it as controversial type program that involves the capturing, sterilization, and returning cats back into the community from which they were originally from. Some of the more salient points relative to the benefit of this coalition formation is the fact that it allows for other options, other vendors, if you will, for the impoundment and veterinarian services for animals that are captured in the city of Warren. It also satisfies the requirement of the state of Michigan relative to grants and revenue sharing in that the communities and intergovernment agencies form a coalition which would benefit public service. So those are some of the things that obviously this body, I'm sure, considered when they went ahead and approved this back on January 14th. Fast forward to phase 2 of this program, which is what we're here for today, and that is to consider this proposed resolution that we choose a vendor. And the basic vendors would be either the Macomb County Animal Shelter, which we know has tripled, in some cases quadrupled, its fees for the impoundment and the veterinarian services for animals that come from the city of Warren, as well, and facing that with another option, which the coalition has found through the solicitation of proposals to be a highly qualified and cost-efficient, cost-effective venue, which would be located a half a mile north of our border, 14.5 mile in Van Dyke in the city of Sterling Heights, and that is called the Animal Care Hospital of Sterling Heights. And they have several other branches, but a tour of their facility certainly proved that they would be adequate in providing animal control services, and that is why the coalition moved forward with this agency.
Okay, and Commissioner, if you could, going back to we've received obviously quite a few emails, and there's been quite a bit of concern regarding what is done with cats after they're taken to the Macomb County shelter versus the Sterling Heights Animal Care Hospital. Could you explain the differences in that to us, please?
Yes. The county has just adopted a new policy and practice, which is brand new and foreign to us. 2 months ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 2 years ago, 26 years ago when I started, and several decades, we have had the practice of capturing animals for various reasons, most of them as a result of citizen complaints and concerns. And that, of course, doesn't include just cats. It also includes canines, dogs, and other type of animals, both licit and illicit. The county would hold the animals for 5 days, and if they could not find a home, they would be obviously put up for adoption and then ultimately euthanized if there was no other options. As compassionate as I am sure that the folks in this industry are, both at a governmental level or a private level, that certainly becomes a sensitive type issue for pet owners, and I certainly realize that. But I want to emphasize that the mission and the philosophy of the Warren Police Department is not changing from what it was decades ago to what it currently is now. What we feel the better direction is for at least a 4.5-month period to stay on the course we have while considering these other options. And the other only option would be to engage with the Macomb County Animal Shelter that would no longer take animals to be housed. This is just cats, I'm sorry. That would no longer take cats to be housed. What they would do would be to examine them medically, and if they determine that they are not sick or they are not too old or feeble, they will sterilize the animal and return it right back into the very community at which one of our citizens had called to request that cat to be removed. Now, some of the interesting issues with this, in which we will probably have to form and brainstorm on what we want to do, and what I feel is extremely important to consider, is the impact it's going to have on the citizens that are requesting these cats to be removed. The Animal Care Hospital of Sterling Heights has pledged that their #1 goal is to A, hold the cat longer twice as long as it ever was with the Macomb County Animal Shelter, and placed them in adoptive homes. They have networked with several rescue organizations. These organizations are funded privately and charitably, and they claim they have a significant success rate in locating healthy kittens that are not a menace and that are not the sort of cat that is mean in a sense and just a street type cat. While this program, this trap, neuter, and release program may work in certain communities, if they were more rural, if they were more climate friendly, I think that would be something that we could certainly give some consideration to. We have 4.5 months to do that. All we're doing right now is maintaining the same philosophy we have had for decades and continuing that for another 4.5 months, as opposed to considering a program in which the waters are untested. Our sister cities that neighbor us and share some of the same challenges, both financially and from a population density aspect have. And again, we feel that the citizens would best be served, and we could get a feeling for really what most people at Panama and Topher would think if we rescued 5 cats out of a vacant garage of an elderly lady that can't wait to get these cats out, only to have them return 2 weeks later, bringing up certain legal issues that I would have to also pause upon. The state of Michigan, 750.50, addresses the abandonment of animals, and it strictly states that it is a 93-day misdemeanor for one to abandon an animal without giving it adequate care. That is obviously could be considered by some as vague language, but it is absolute legal language nonetheless, and I think it speaks directly to this point. We also have in our Code of Ordinances, Section 7.3 in Chapter 7, which addresses allowing animals to run at large. It's a 90-day misdemeanor. These are things that have not been considered, I think, to the degree that they should by certain individuals, organizations that I know mean well. I am a cat owner. My 19-year-old cat, I am very confident, is curled up next to my wife on her blanket right now. And I'm all about finding animals homes, about advocating and making pet owners aware of their responsibilities, and I think we can certainly move forward doing that. But I do ask this honorable council to give every consideration to move forward with this 4.5 month program that is before you today.
And how long has the county, Macomb County, had this spaying and neutering and returning to the community program going? Is this the first year they've done this, or?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Something brand new.
I want to say I spoke with the chief, Chief Randazzo, around August of this year, and he said it was his plan to transition to this program by January. And I want to say it may have kicked in officially in February. What I do know is for the last 10 days, we have brought 10 dogs and 1 cat to the Animal Care Hospital of Sterling Heights, and it has been a flawless, seamless transition. And hopefully the cat that was brought there, I believe, about 2 days ago, will find itself a loving home.
And another question I have to the chair of the city attorney, the topic that was brought up regarding the legality of letting an animal loose, the question the police, deputy police commissioner brought up, the city attorney's opinion regarding is what the Macomb County Animal Shelter doing, is that legal in the state of Michigan?
I don't believe it is. In addition to the city ordinance section that was cited by the deputy commissioner, which is section 7.3, There's also section 7.101 of our ordinances that I believe it makes it unlawful for anyone in possession of a cat to let that cat go and run free. And in addition to the state statute that was mentioned by Deputy Commissioner Galasso, there's another statute, MCL 433.12, which is entitled Animals Running at Large, Permitting and Enabling Animals to Run at Large, which makes it a state misdemeanor. Section 1 reads, an animal should not run at large in this state. And subsection 3 reads, a person other than the owner of an animal shall not willfully and knowingly enable an animal to run at large in this state. Again, it makes it a misdemeanor. So we could be in a situation where our animal control people are being prosecuted under state law if they follow the directions of the Macomb County Animal Shelter.
Interesting. It's a difficult topic because I think I myself have rescued 2 dogs, 2 Silky Terriers out of the Macomb County Animal Shelter. We've also rescued a cat, and it was a feral cat, and we rescued it from the backyard. And we worked with it, and now it's my baby. And, you know, if in my mind is the thought that if that cat got picked up by someone in the police department, it would have probably been put to sleep because it was considered a feral cat. And this is a very difficult item for me. And at the same time, we have to make sure that what we're passing here is legal. I'm just kind of surprised that the county would propose something like that without legally finding if they're violating any laws. And I guess the question is, who's the owner? If I pick up a cat and I, carry it down the street and ask, is this your cat? Is this your cat? Am I the owner? Obviously I wouldn't consider myself the owner. It's a foggy question. For me right now, I'm having a difficulty with this item because I didn't receive the amendment. So I have an incomplete item before me, and it's difficult for me to vote on that tonight because the reason that that's being stated why we're going to this new place was a cost-effective issue, and I think there's probably some different costs in that amendment that I haven't had a chance to really explore. So for me, I'm not comfortable with this item tonight. I understand the predicament you're in, and it's a very uncomfortable item. And personally, I think if most people had spent any time at the Macomb County Animal Shelter, and I have, it's eye-opening and it's heartbreaking. It's something that we try to put out of our mind and put in the back of our mind, in our humanity. And it's a difficult place to be up here on council. And, I can't vote on anything that's found to be illegal, but at the same time, my conscience can't allow me to vote for something that's potentially immoral in my mind. And it's very difficult. And, everybody's pet lovers. You have your pet, I have my pet. But also the city, it's kind of funny, it's kind of ironic because we have a rat issue going on. We have rats everywhere, and one of the best defenses against rats are cats, outside cats, and that's why a lot of farmers have barn cats, and cats, they keep as my Mimi used to say, they keep the critters away. But I understand the position you're in, but for me tonight, if personally, I think it should be tabled until council receives the rest of their backup. And has a little time. I personally would like to call Macomb County and ask them some legal questions if they've legally looked at this. And I understand you guys are trying to do your duty as collaborating with the neighboring communities. That's part of the governor's, one of the hoops that cities have to jump through to get our cost-sharing revenue back, and I understand that's what you're trying to do. And I don't think your intent is any ill will whatsoever. I think you're trying to do the right thing. But for me tonight, I personally would like to make a motion to table it just until council can receive all our backup. And I would like a little more time to research it just a little bit with the county and some of the other neighboring cities that are still working with the county. And I haven't had a chance to go down to the Sterling Heights Animal Shelter yet. I'd like to look at them too. I've heard some good things about them. It's not a bad place. So for me, I'd make a motion to table it until council can get all the backup.
I support that motion to table. All right, there's a motion to table. I think there's a few other people would like to say a few words, but there's a motion to table with
Sorry.
support that takes away any further discussion. With that, we'll question the motion. Mr. Bacamino? Oh,
Collegio, yes.
Oh, it's just-
Collegio, yes. Mhm.
And Mr. Bacamino?
Yes.
Sorry. Mr. Warner?
No.
Mr. Sadowski?
No.
Mr. Green?
No.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. St. Pierre, yes. Item passed 4-3.